Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Things We Do Not Want to Talk About. I just want to say, everybody in Detroit right now, this 92 plus weather has me just like ready to scream. Like, I'm so over it. And I'm a true hot girl to the fullest, but the hotness is just like really, really throwing me off. And I'm like so ready for it to be over. So thank God today, when this comes out, it's going to be Friday. And by that time, it should be starting to cool off. Love it, but a little too much. I just want to start there, y'all, because I'm just so irritated. Even with my hair in this clip, it's just like so hot. But a few things I just want to say. I want to start us off with. For one, my birthday is officially in 1 month. I will be 27 years old. I cannot believe it. And I'm just like, where did the time go? I'm at this place where it's like I find myself saying, oh, in my 20s, I did this, or in my early 20s, and I'm going into my 30s. And I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even know how long I'm going to keep saying it out loud. I'm that much of a, am I really about to be saying 27? But we're here and I'm blessed to have made it this far. So yes, I'll be 27 July 31st. For all those who know my birthday, I am a Leo. I'm not big in signs or whatever, but you know, I am a Leo. What else? I was going to say something else that I was thinking about since the last time I recorded. I can't think of it right now, but if I do, I will bring it back up toward the end of the episode. So a few things, when I was recording my last episode, I was thinking about, I told y'all I was going back to therapy, and I had my therapy session, and I thought like when I went to therapy, I'm like, yeah, we maybe need to have more sessions, but that one session we had, since I hadn't talked to her in a while, she was just like, Kinga, you're on the journey you're supposed to be on, right? Like these downs and ups and you configuring and you figuring things out, that's all part of life, and the track you should be on. And it was like, that let me know. Because I think when I went to therapy that day, I was expecting her to say, oh, this is what's bad, or this is stuff you need to fix. But she was like, nothing that you're doing is wrong, right? And she affirmed me like I am on my right journey and to continue on. So I thought I was ready to open it up and be like, oh, okay, I'm back in therapy and my bi-weekly sessions. But I kind of didn't get that feel when we were done. But I am considering getting back in therapy, and I may even see a new therapist this time to kind of go over like the relationship with my mom. I may like talk about that with my new therapist, but I knew I meant to touch that because I was going to add to it, which also kind of in a way relates to the topic for today. And the topic for today is where our relationship with money comes from. This has been something I have been really, really, really on. I've been on it for a long time, but this past 6 months, I've really been more conscious of it and like trying to get like to the root of, okay, what's the real issue here with me and money? So I'm going to give some context and some backstory about money. So it's so funny. All my friends will tell you I'm a calculator. I know when the money is coming. I know the percentages of the taxes. I know at one time, I was the person when we were in school at college, I knew if you go to this bank, you will get your refund check earlier. I knew what day you could come. Instead of having to wait for direct deposit, I knew the day you can go up to the room where they had it at, all type of stuff. I was always that girl, like, how can I get the money? I know all the bag secrets, to this, to that, right? But I didn't really quite know how to manage money. And I think for a while, I was using money as like how do I say? I don't want to say a help, but when I say a help, it was like kind of my way of dealing with life. So I used money not as a tool, but kind of like a dessert or something, right? Something where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is my thing to make me feel good, but not really actually realizing like what money is and what it's supposed to be used for. And I feel like that's pretty common, but a lot of times we don't really understand why that is. And that's been something I have been exploring. So right now, my comfort show, and when I say comfort show, this is a show I watch at night that I don't ever finish. It's just on for the background music. I may listen to about half of the show. I'm going to instantly fall asleep. But right now, my comfort show is Mixed-ish, right? A show that's like kind of corny, but I just love it so much. And throughout the show, I was on this one episode, and Alicia is the mom, right? And she's married to this white guy. Bo is the daughter. So I want to say it's a spinoff of Blackish, but this is Mixed-ish. So it's telling the childhood of Bo, Rainbow. So as I was listening to it, this episode, she works at an attorney firm, by the way, right? She's a top attorney in the firm. The firm is primarily all white people. She's the only Black woman, and she's bringing the company so much success. And she got a 10K bonus, right? Back then, this is like in the 1980s. So $10,000 is a lot of money, right? You can get you a banging car with 10,000, brand new car, all type of stuff. So she's really excited, right? She's a humble woman. She's not someone who is like selfish or any of that. Keep in mind, she came from a commune. So in a commune is like an area where it's like they're not worldly at all. They just focus on like nurturing and community, unity, things like that. So when she comes home and tells the family, like, wow, I got the bonus for my job, it's $10,000. And the first thing her sister said was like, oh my God, sis, I'm just so proud of us. We got us some money now. And that triggered me in a way. It triggered me in a way, and it made me think about how we as Black people, and especially maybe those who are the first people to get money in our families, or we're the first people to actually see success, or we're the first people in our families, people see us like, oh, they got it, right? And how that makes us feel, and also the burden that follows us because of that. So as I was listening to it, and I was just like, wow, what I'm saying? I found myself in that position many, many, many times. And a couple episodes ago, I was talking about me when I moved and stuff, and how I am removing myself from the financial responsibility that I put on my own self. So as y'all know, I was living with my dad. I was born and raised by my dad. And one of the things that was big for me is I felt like I owed my daddy for a long amount of time. My daddy wasn't someone that made me feel like I owe him, but inherently, all the stories that I was always told made me feel like I just really, really, really owe my daddy, because it's like he did so much, right? He did more than what an average Black man would do as a father, right? Let alone just being a great father, period. Being that Black men stereotypically are not what we would consider good parents at the time, or we don't expect them to be, right? It's always the mom. So having my dad be my sole parent, having my dad be my provider, my protector, and the person that I look to for solace, it was hard for me to not look at him as like a savior per se. So when I finally got like money-ish, and when I was doing great, my first instinct was like helping my daddy. Like, literally, that was the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to think, how can I give him this? How can I give him a lot? You know what I'm saying? And I have done more than what your average 26-year-old have done, period. And I was doing that maybe like at 22, 21, 23. And I don't brag about it. It's not something I'm boastful about or none of that. You know what I'm saying? But it's something I'm now conscious of, because I've realized, because of how much I feel like I was responsible for my daddy, it has made me put myself in uncomfortable situations just so I can make sure I can be there for him financially. And now that's something that I am coming from. And I know we hear about it, you know what I'm saying, communities where it's like we take care of our parents, and in some environments that's like the norm. And I feel like it's not something that we talk about enough and out loud, especially it's like girls, right? We hear from the guys, like the guys who got a lot of money. We see the dudes in the streets, oh, you take care of your family, that's what you're supposed to do, bro. You take care of your mama, she ain't gotta work, blah, 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 right? But there's also people who don't live a fast life, right? And there are still people like myself, right, who still have that burden, and it still feels heavy regardless of the fact. And me not having money like that, I feel it. And for a long time, I didn't want to acknowledge that I was feeling like that, because I felt wrong, like, oh my God, I shouldn't do that. And after all, my daddy has sacrificed for me, and how he takes care of my grandma, and so forth and so forth. I just feel like this is the least I could do, right? I just want to say thank you. And I just, don't know another way of doing that than being able to support him financially, knowing that he could use the help too. And I have an amazing daddy. It's always been great, but that's something I've noticed I've taken on, right? Even when it came with friends, I've noticed it, right? Before, and with the friends, I was able to end that more quickly. So it wasn't as hard as the one that I've been dealing with my dad. But always feeling like I need to be the one to take care of someone, or I being the one who needs to be that financial person, because if I don't do it, they won't do it. Like, I have literally found myself like, if I don't give them this money, then how they gonna get it? Instead of thinking like, Kinga, that's not your responsibility. And I'm sure you all have probably had that same thing where it's like you feel you have this obligation to someone, this unsaid obligation, even if it's not money, but it's something you feel like you are responsible for whatever reason. And I want y'all to challenge that. And I want you all to really think about, like, why do you think you are responsible for these things, right? The things we are responsible for, maybe like a parent, you're responsible for your child, like that's something you're responsible for, or you're responsible to do your duties at work because that's what you signed up for. But like those are the things we're responsible for. Like we're not responsible for people healing. We're not responsible for people to change. We're not responsible for people to grow. We're not responsible for people to believe in themselves, right? That's just not our responsibility. And I feel like sometimes we get so caught up in that. So as I was thinking about that, it made me think about, well, where did I start to learn about money? And going back to my childhood growing up, how do I say this? Scarcity wasn't a thing for me. So I didn't really know about like saving or even hearing like I don't got it. Like although my daddy didn't have a lot of money, I don't ever remember hearing I don't got it. It's weird. And I also remember me really asking for things, or maybe I did. Maybe something like, oh, I need somebody to get my hair done. Maybe he didn't have it or something. But I didn't ever see money as like a pinch. Like he didn't have it, but don't you know how like some people will tell their kids like, oh, I don't got it today, so we can't do it. I don't really remember that being told to me, but more so knowing like my daddy doesn't have the money to give me all the great things that I want. So instead I'll just go get a job and work for it. And I think for a long time, well, I just didn't know. So now as an adult, I'm able to see like, okay, why do I treat money the way I do? Like I didn't see people saving. I didn't know about investments. My mom is horrible with money. She's absolutely horrible. And I felt like for about like, am I cursed? Like, oh my God, am I cursed? Like, is it a generational curse of people just not knowing what to do with money? Even thinking about how all the guys that I've dated were like all street related in some form or fashion. And I even had to get down to what that was about, right? Like, what's your fascination with this? And it was the security, right? I think my one thing I always say, and I tell people, oh, I have unconditional love for my daddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he loves me regardless. So it's like love wasn't always my thing going into some situations. It was more so like, how can this give me some security and financial security to be more exact? So I think with me not having that financial security in my daddy, although I had everything else, that was a void that needed to be filled. So I felt like I didn't ever really get money crazy, but it was more so like I knew that was something I wanted in a man per se, because I didn't have that in a dad. Like I didn't go without anything. It wasn't like he was less of a person, but that was a void I didn't quite know that I needed to be filled until I became more of an adult and I started to see like, why am I doing these certain things? So it was funny to me when I became a teacher. And it's even funny with me now saying this, like when I went to school to be a teacher, y'all, I didn't even know how much money teachers made. Like it was so irrelevant to me that I didn't think about it. And I think it was irrelevant for me because for a while back in the day, I would say maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I used to feel like it didn't matter how much money I made because the guy that I dated was going to bridge that gap. So whatever I lacked, I know I'm going to date a man that has more money than me, and that'll be how I have more money. And that was a big thing that I had to unlearn. So that was something that I've been in the process of unlearning for the last 2 years and working to do that differently. But even that mentality of like, why do I think that? Like, where did that come from? And it all came from this idea of feeling like, well, I'm not in a profession that's worthy, you know what I'm saying? Or people feel like it's worthy enough, so they're not going to pay me that much, right? Instead of thinking about, well, how can I work or how can I create something to put myself in a better position? I think because I didn't quite see that, I didn't really know to think about things like that. So then being in therapy and her pointing out these things was some of the things that I finally had learned as I've been on this journey of like how I look at money and like what to do. So with me, to be completely transparent, I am not in a great financial state in terms of my past debt. So I'm that girl who, when the refunds came, I was trying to get the extra loans so I could have the money now, not later. I didn't care about paying the loans later. Everything was like right now. And instead of thinking about, okay, how can I lower my bills or do things differently so I don't have to have so much debt and so much overhead, my mentality was, okay, I just have to get more money so I could spend more. That was my whole thing for years. And I hope if anyone is listening and then you all have that mentality, I want you all to end it today, right now, not later, but now, because that's one of the things I definitely regret. Like totally, and I don't even really have any regrets, and maybe I shouldn't even say regret, but that is something that haunts me. But that was my mentality, right? I didn't had all the loans. I didn't had those loans with the extra APRs and crazy numbers and the payday loans, all because I just couldn't manage money for so long. And I think I was so focused on, why don't I have no money? Money goes by so fast, instead of really trying to figure out, King A, why do I have this relationship with money? Why do I look at it the way that I do? How can I change my mentality? Or like, how can I get out this idea of using money to make me happy inherently? And now I've changed it, literally, I mean now as of like this year, to how can I manage what I have? And once you go from how can I make more money to how can I manage what I have, that's when your life changes. And I feel like for me, I'm finally starting to see and even be okay with like saying, okay, you know what, King, I could go without this, right? I am a teacher and I am on a teacher's salary. I get my tools and fuels extras on the side. But if this is the main income, this is how much I know I'm going to make, how can I lower my life to fit into that, instead of trying to overexert myself or overspend and overdo? And for so long, y'all, that was literally a true fear of mine. I didn't want to go small. Even to this day, I still don't want to go small. Now I work more, you know what I'm saying? I'm to the point where, like, okay, well, at least I work, you know what I'm saying, before I go without. But even then, I still got to change that mentality. I have to learn how to take care of what I have so that I can get more. And in my opinion, even when I learned, God doesn't bless you with more until you could do with what you have. And that's been my biggest thing. Like, God gave me these blessings. I'm going to work these blessings. I'm going to do what he said to do, because I know what it's like to be broke down on my D and not have nothing. And it's like, I don't ever want to see that again. Like, ever in life. I don't care if I got to do Lyft. I don't care if I'm working 2 or 3 jobs. Being broke is just not an option. Like, once you was broke the way I was, and like really not having nobody to call on, you think about it differently, right? Or you don't, and you end up in the same position in life forever. But I didn't take that route. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do things no more. I don't want to always work to my last. I don't always want to have to spend up to the last dollar every single time, right? I don't have to live like that. I don't have to be like that. And I know a lot in our society, we talk about like, oh, worry about now, not later, et cetera, et cetera. But if I could say anything to like any young person or anybody even just getting money, or even anybody trying to change their situation, we have to grow out of that mentality as a Black community, and especially for those who are coming up. And when I say those who are coming up, I'm talking about the people starting their careers. I'm talking about the people just now getting money, just now getting comfortable, getting their foot in the door. Do not uproot yourself to this crazy new rich lifestyle just now because you got more money. I'm telling you. It's been some rainy days we've been having in the world. Like, for real. Like, recession, here. You know what I'm saying? People not having it, here. People not having jobs, here. Stuff getting tight and people can't make the extra money, is here. You know what I'm saying? I feel like everybody, or the majority, is feeling it in some type of way. And it's like, having that cushion is so important. So things I have done action related to help me do better. I have started this new thing. I follow this girl called B on Budgeting. I try not to cuss, but it's the B word on budgeting. She's a Black girl named Selma. And she talks about how she saves and got herself out of debt. And I started following her. She was so realistic. And one thing I have started doing since March, is now June. I'm very proud of myself because I don't ever do stuff like this before, but I'm a new King A now, so I'm starting to do better with my money. I save one thing that I spend a day. So for me, that's easy because I have a lot of like paying for stuff coming out of my account. So it's always easy for me to spend. Like, something comes out of my account almost every single day. That's just me. And I save however much I spend. I save one of my transactions per day. And y'all know I have my building where the learning space is at. So I just use all the money. Like, I save it each day and I put it to the side. And at the end of the month, I just pay the rent with it. I usually always have like about like 1,000 or like 900, 800 or something. And it's good. So if you're somebody that's making fast money, like maybe doing hair, lashes, nails, anything where like you could get money every day, like you're making money every day, put some up every single day. It's small, but it adds up at the end. Because what was happening was, when I was tutoring, like my parents sending me my money on every 3 or 4 days when I'm getting some money, it's like, okay, I see it in my account, it's like I got extra money, but it's like, no, this money really got to be put towards that rent first, I have to do at the end of the month. So that has helped me a lot to watch like where my money is going and to also make me more disciplined. So when you think about your relationship with money, think about where is your discipline coming from and how you are motivating yourself to make sure that you're being more focused with like what you're doing with it. And you just start small. I don't care if you saving 50 cents. Like we get so caught up in if it's not big and if it's not the way that I want it, I can't do it. No, you make do with what you have, period. Like, we got to change our mentality. We always want more, more, more. And I'm someone that was me for years. Like, I mean, it's still in my blood a little bit. I'm trying to get it out. You know what I'm saying? But the more I'm aware, the more I'm cognizant, the more I'm doing things differently, I challenge myself to be a better person. That's what I want y'all to do as well. So I really think about like, what are those small steps you could do? Even if it's every day I get Starbucks, instead of going 5 times a week, I'm going to go 1 to 2 times a week, right? And as my friend Ashley, she made this post, she had said something like, instead of ice cream, I got some fruits today. I'm 1% better each day. Love that. I told myself that last week, I wanted to do something, but I think it was close. I'm like, whoop, that's 1% better. You know what I'm saying? Instead of eating that fatty food, I save my calories for something else. And the more we get into this mentality of going without and being okay with going without, the stronger we become. And when I say going without, I'm not saying just starve yourself and you don't do nothing to like celebrate yourself or do nothing for you, but you do it in moderation, right? Or like you budget your life. Sometimes we could just over consume and we become what's the word I'm thinking of? It was in the Bible. I can't. A glute, right? We become a glute of everything, right? Have to have everything. You got to have it now. You got to do this. You got to eat this. It's too much, right? And when you are over consuming so much, whether that even be social media, what you're eating, what you're drinking, you become somebody who doesn't have a balance in life and you end up just doing too much, consuming too much, and it becomes an overflow, right? Where you're either going to burn yourself out, you get depleted, or you just get to the point where you have nothing, whether that be spiritually, mentally, financially, physically, right? You get to a point where you lose what you have. And I know what that's like, and I would hate for anyone to like really get to that point continuously, right? We all have to learn some way and somehow, but the more, or I could say the faster we get to the point of us challenging ourselves to change or unlearn these things, the better off we'll be in the future. And to add to that point, another thing I would even say, a lot of us, I know we live for the right now, right? A lot of the jobs that we have, how do I say this? Okay, a lot of the jobs we have, they don't promote security for real, for real. So I always talk about it. Those like you know, the cool jobs, any job that doesn't have any benefits for real, for real. We go after money a lot, right? Like, okay, yeah, it's gonna give me the money right now, but it don't come with no benefits, right? It don't come with no health care. It don't come with health insurance. It doesn't protect you against anything. But you got the money right now, right? But you're not even putting that money to the side for you to make sure you can afford these things. And that's something I want to say to every single person who does not have a job that has benefits. For example, and I'm going to give you a real world example, me. I may not have done the best in my years when it comes to saving money or just having money for a rainy day. That's nothing. I've always paid like my bills and the essentials that needed to be met, but like not having the extras because I was overspending, right? Right now, I want to say I have about, I think I have like 26,000 in my between like my 857 and like my 401. So that's like a teacher thing. It's like the money that's going in one savings account, the other one like that my employer matches, right? So right now, if I was to leave my school district, I could take that 27,000 out. Say if I had like a death in my family I'm paying for, I could use it for that. You even could take a loan out on it, right? And pay yourself back. A lot of different things. But I'm saying all of that to say it's like, that's 27,000 that I haven't touched. I haven't tried to nibble on, to spend here, spend that, right? That's money that I can have. And not saying I'm depending on my retirement because I don't plan to be in a classroom for 10 years or even, 30 years where you actually see where your retirement was at. But when I'm doing this, I'm getting to the habit of being able to put money out of my hands, right? And it's growing, right? It may not be the most interest rate. The most interest, which I want to say is like a good amount. But the point is I'm putting money somewhere and I'm not worrying about it, right? I'm learning how to save. I'm learning how to put things away for a later point. I'm really, really getting into where I'm getting super away from that instant gratification. I feel like the first thing to become a stronger, better person financially is to get away from that instant gratification. I don't care if it's you got to go to that party. You got to have that outfit right now. You need that drink right now. You need this hairstyle right now. Once you get your mentality out of the right now, you can have a greater later, a much, much, much greater later. But it takes that mind shift. So I feel like lots of times we talk about money with people, especially like in the Black community, but I want us to stop saying, oh, we just have to save more, and start saying we have to change our mentality more. We have to change how we look at things. We have to change the responsibilities that we give ourselves, and we have to change our view on money. Even if that takes us unlearning what we've always known all our life, right? We have to take the time out to be like, you know what? I want to question why I was doing these things, or I really want to go back to how this started and which parts I can save and which parts I need to let go. So as I was thinking about this episode, it really hit home as I was thinking about, and I was hearing some conversations from other people, and just thinking about how even, and I don't even want to say it's a Black thing all the time, but we know, Jewish people, people come from different races. I have just seen it's more common of unity, right? It's more common to see building. It's more common to see their money staying within their community, right? And I'm just noticing us as Black people, it's like we like to spend so much. And I feel like it's not just because we just like to spend money. Sometimes I think we're trying to heal other issues that we really are dealing with. And I would say even for me, mostly, I remember like it got so deep one time. I had spent like maybe $2,000 or $3,000. And at this time, I only had maybe like $4,000. And it was a really big purchase I made. And I was crying like, well, now I don't have any money, but I was really happy in like my material thing that I bought. And I was talking to a lady, Dr. Lee, who I love dearly. And she was like, you need to stop having, what did she say? You have to stop doing so many big things to make up for the fact that every day you don't take care of yourself. And when she said that, I was like, wow. That's what she said. She's like, you make these big purchases and do these big things to cover up that you don't take care of yourself. You need to change your mindset to think like, how can I do small things each day or each week to help me feel good, instead of having to do so much to do one thing that's only going to last that one day. So if you think about it, if we was to do good things for ourselves once a week, or we do them every other day, or even every day if it's something small, right? You would feel more of that gratification than if you made that one big purchase that one time, right? Depending on what it is. But I'm saying all of that to say, it's like we have to think about, what do we really want? And I follow this guy named Ramit. I think his name is like Ramit or Ramit. But if anybody know, he's like the man who's always talk about money. He's like I don't think he's white. He's something, but y'all know, RAMIT. And he was talking about building your rich life, right? And what are the things you have to have when it comes to building your rich life? And that is the challenge I want all of you all who are listening today. After you all listen to this episode, I want you all to create your rich life. And I'm actually going to create it with you all. Hopefully I remember to share it with y'all. And I'm going to go over like the money I make, my bills, and like the type of life I want to live. And start taking steps every day, starting today, next week, whatever it is. Remember, start today instead of someday, right? Day one and one day are two different things. And I want you to include like the things that you have to have in your life. So like, for example, if you're someone who knows you don't like to cook, your budget for going out to eat. If you're someone that has to hike, your hiking budget. If you're someone that likes your Pilates, you know what I'm saying, you got to do that. Whatever your rich life is, not trying to do everything you see people do, or not everything that's cool, right? What is your rich life? Like, for example, me getting my hair done is a part of my lifestyle. It doesn't have to be the most expensive all the time, but that hair getting done is a priority, period. I'm not a nails girl. Like, I could literally take off my nails, and usually I have long nails, so I really get like shellac for the most part. But I also am cool with getting some polish if I had to. So that could save $50 or $100. I do not cook. I'm sorry. I just thought about it. I haven't cooked in months. That's just like not my thing. It's too time consuming for me. It doesn't fit in my life. So that's something where it's like, okay, I know I'm eating out. So it's like I have to figure out, okay, what I want to do. But it's like, that's so important to me. I'm willing to take out other things just so I don't have to cook every day. Right? So you gotta think about it. What is your thing? If cooking is your thing, you can spend less on one category and put more into the other categories. For me, for a while, I had to have a new outfit every time I went out. Like, I don't wear outfits twice. I'm getting kind of better with that. But what I'm doing is I'm just getting cheaper outfits per se, instead of like having to spend the most money. But even think about, like, for example, materials, right? Are you someone that's okay with maybe getting a good thing once every quarter? So for example, I had to realize, because I haven't bought a new purse in like 2 years, and I'm very sad to say that. I don't even want to utter those words, but I had to realize, okay, it's been 2 years without me having a new bag, and that's not something that's really that important to me as I thought. It was just important because it was in my face and I was getting them at the time. But I think I'm cool with like realistically, if I had a bag maybe twice a year, that's enough for me. Or maybe even once a year. Like, I noticed, like, it's just not that important because I do have a collection of bags now. So that's not a big thing for me. But I would feel like my luxury things, like, I do enjoy jewelry, right? So maybe if I can get like a nice piece every year, that would make me more happier than maybe getting a new bag. Or if I have to have a bag, maybe getting a less expensive bag, and maybe the following year I can get a bigger bag. Whatever the case may be, right? I just started to notice, like, what are my important things for me? For example, waxes and your maintenance. If you're like a girl that has that high maintenance, that's your thing. If you a guy where like you gotta go to the club, you like spending money, that's your thing. Like for me, I enjoy getting out the house, whatever that may be. I'm not a big activities person, but a bar, that's my vibe. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, think about, what does your rich life look like? Even if it's whatever thing that makes you happy, think about how can you create your rich life with what you have. Period, right? Even if it means you like to draw, you like doing your arts and crafts, but you may can't afford a $30 set, but you could probably go to Family Dollar or somewhere, Hobby Lobby, and get it for like $5. Where it's like, you're still meeting your needs, but you're doing it in a way where you're not overexerting, or you're doing the way that you actually can afford to, instead of trying to always work and go without and end up spending to your last bit just because you're trying to feel this void, but in a way that's really not taking care of you and your soul at the end of the day. So I shared a lot today. I talked about many things, but what I want to leave you all with today, and what I want y'all to do, one, is to create your rich life, right? What does that look like for you? All the things you want, all the things you like to spend your money on, the things that you have to have, right? And think about maybe what could you go without or have a cheaper version of, just so you could fulfill your other things that you really, really, really need. I want you all to journal, go back and look at what were the stories you were told about what your rich, I'm sorry, not the story about your rich life. What stories were you told about money growing up, and how have they shown up in your life now as an adult? So, what were the stories you were told about money growing up, and how do they show up in your life today? If you do have debt, I want you to write down all your debt and think about creating a realistic plan, not pay all your debt off in a month, because you can't do that, or you wouldn't have the debt to begin with. But really write down, think about, like, what are some of those small things that you could do to attack the goals that you have? And that leads me to the next thing. Write some financial goals for yourself for the next 6 months, right? Because like I tell y'all, my year starting in August, so my new year will be starting in August. We'll go over my the stuff I then did to help me become better. But I'm gonna try to think about, like, what are your financial goals for the rest of the year? We know what you started with in January, but now we like real deep in the nick of the thick of things in June. And I want you all to think about, like, have you made progress? Have you not? And what are some of the things that you could do differently? And feel free, of course, if you want to have a conversation about this, if you want to go more in depth about it, if you want to just talk about anything, period, feel free to reach out to me. And again, the girl who I mentioned earlier is like the B word, BITCH or BTCH. I'm budgeting. It's a Black girl named Selma with glasses. That's who I follow, who's gave me like motivation and different resources when it comes to saving. So I want to say thank you so much for listening, you all. Hope you all continue to take care of yourself. And until next time, bye.